everyone, I'm Miss Paws, and today's topic is figures of speech. A figure of speech or rhetorical device is an intentional deviation from a literal statement to create an effect. So, why do we use figures of speech? Because it gives our words more power. Sometimes it helps give words musicality, so it's more fun to read or speak out. Other times it can make the words more memorable or understandable. So, without further ado, let's cover some examples of figures of speech. We're going to start with an easy one here: alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same letter or sound for closely connected words. Here's an example: Peter Piper picked a pick a pick up. Okay. Let me do that again. Tongue twisters are hard. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Okay, I did it. We can see the repeated use of the P sounds here. Alliteration, as we just saw, can be used to create rhythm. It may also evoke certain moods. For example, the repeated use of the S sound is often used to cue snake like qualities such as danger or slyness. Next up is consonance. Consonance is the repetition of the same consonant words in a text. So, what's the difference between this and alliteration? Well, first off, consonance is only for consonants, yeah, duh. But also, the repetition of the sound can happen anywhere in the words. Alliteration, on the other hand, is only sounds repeating at the beginning of the word. So, here's an example from The Tiger, a poem by William Blake. Before we begin, I just want to point out that Blake used the Old English spelling of tiger, so it's not spelled wrong here. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. We can see the repeated use of G and R sounds. Note that the G in bright is not highlighted because the G is silent in bright and doesn't have the same hard G sound in tiger and burning. Consonance is usually used to heighten emotions and is often used in poetry. Okay, so now on to assonance. Make sure not to linger on any part of this word or you might get into trouble at school. Not speaking from personal experience or anything. Assonance is the repetition of the same vowel words in a text, so just like consonants, but for vowels. Here's an example: the early bird catches the worm. Hopefully, you have all heard of this proverb, which means that we should start early for a better outcome, or wake up early. Yeah, fat chance like that's gonna happen. I'm just kidding. The assonance is coming from the repeat sound. Just like consonants, assonance is usually used to heighten emotions, sometimes creating a lyrical effect. Next up is onomatopoeia. Yeah, try spelling that. Onomatopoeia is a creation of a word that imitates sounds. My favorite example, obviously, is meow. Did you know that onomatopoeia can change based on the country you're in? In Japan, for example, a cat makes a nya nya sound. It's true. When I took a trip to Japan, my voice changed automatically. It was wild. Anyway, onomatopoeia helps create vivid imagery. Litotes. This is actually the singular as well as plural form of the word. Litotes is an understatement in which an affirmative is expressed by the negative of its contrary. Wait, what? Let's go over an example. From Disney's Aladdin, "This is no ordinary lamp" actually means it's an extraordinary lamp. You know, because it holds Will Smith inside it. Litotes is often used to not appear too complimentary. Hyperbole, not to be confused with hyperbola found in math classes, is an exaggerated statement not to be taken literally. I'm sure we all have at least one hyperbolic friend who always makes a mountain out of a molehill for everything. So, here's an example: "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." At least for the human species, it's an exaggeration because horses are so much bigger and there's no way you'd be able to eat an entire horse. Not that you'd want to eat Mr. Hay anyway, look at how cute he looks. Hyperbole is used to add emphasis or humor. An allusion is an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly. It can be a reference to another work of literature, an event, a person, anything really. So here's an example from one of my favorite artists, Taylor Swift. "Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone" is a line from her song Love Story. Thank you. Did you like my singing voice? Is she singing this to her boyfriend named Romeo? I don't think so. She's, of course, alluding to Shakespeare's play about star-crossed lovers Romeo and Juliet. without explicitly saying that her love story seems to be doomed and maybe just as foolish as Romeo and Juliet's. Sorry. Maybe I'm being a little cynical here, but Romeo and Juliet were teenagers. I just have a feeling that Romeo and Juliet would have gotten divorced within a couple of years if they hadn't died. But anyway, allusions are often used to express complex ideas by drawing simple comparisons. They're commonly found in movies, songs, literature, etc. Symbolism is the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities. Examples of symbols can be colors, objects, animals, weather conditions, etc. The best way to explain symbolism is through an example. April showers bring May flowers. What does this mean? After it rains, there's opportunity for renewal or rebirth. In fact, rain often symbolizes rebirth and redemption, though it can mean a great many other things. If you have watched the movie Shawshank Redemption, and sorry if I'm giving anything away if you haven't watched it yet, the wrongfully incarcerated main character escapes from prison and it rains. This shows a rebirth of sorts, in that the main character now can begin a new life peacefully as the rain washes away his sins. Remember, in great literature, things aren't often what they appear to be. Symbolism is used quite frequently. And here's a pro tip for free. Western literature heavily alludes not only to Shakespeare, but also to Greek mythology and the Bible. Remember that word, allusion? Yeah. Recognizing and understanding biblical symbols is a great way to understand symbolism in literature. In fact, if we go back to our rain example, in the Bible it rains heavily in the biblical story of Noah's Ark, which causes a flood. While the flood destroys most of the living things on earth, the flood allows an opportunity for rebirth on earth. Personification is the attribution of a personal nature or human characteristic to something non human. Here's a sentence from Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. The firehouse trembled as a great flight of jet planes whistled a single note across a black morning sky. Trembled and whistled are human characteristics ascribed to inanimate objects such as the firehouse or jet planes. Much like symbolism, personification is used to convey concepts in a relatable way. Imagery is visually descriptive language. From Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, his yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. Wow, what an image, right? This line describes how Frankenstein's monster looks. It's quite horrific. Also, totally random, but did you notice his yellow skin? The original Frankenstein's monster was not even green, it was yellow. Hollywood made the monster green in the 1931 film Frankenstein because green would show up as ghostly white in black and white films and would distinguish Frankenstein's monster from other characters. And I guess the green color stuck. So that's imagery. It's used to evoke emotion. Metaphor is when a word or phrase is used to refer to something else that is literally not the same. For example, time is money. They're not the same things, but this proverb is telling us that time is as valuable as money through the use of this metaphor. Metaphors often help words paint a picture and come to life. Similar to metaphors are similes. Similes also compare two different things, but unlike the metaphor, they use like or as to make a comparison. An example from the movie Forrest Gump. Life is like a box full of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Illustrates that life is full of surprises. If we want to make this a metaphor, then we would just say, life is a box full of chocolates. Similes are also used to paint a picture, but with comparisons not as direct as in metaphors. Synecdoche is when a part is used to represent the whole or vice versa. For example, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Is the hand actually going to rule the world? No. But the hand represents mothers. A part is used to represent the whole. Motherhood is a force for change in this world. Synecdoche allows writers to give importance to the specific part that is symbolizing the whole. Metonymy is similar to synecdoche, except a part doesn't represent the whole in metonymy. Rather, one thing represents an adjacent thing. An example from Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Now, when Mark Antony says this in the play, he's not asking you to lend him your ears. That would be weird. What he's asking you is to listen to him. Listening and ears are adjacent terms, so lend me your ears is a metonymical way of saying listen to me. It sounds better, doesn't it? Metonymy is used to emphasize a particular characteristic of an object. Well, I guess that's all for part one. We learned about alliteration, consonance, assonance, onomatopoeia, litotes, hyperbole, allusion, symbolism, personification, imagery, metaphor, simile, synecdoche, metonymy. Can you try to come up with your own examples for each of these figures of speech? Stay tuned for part two to learn more about figures of speech.